Imagine the scene in that upper room. The disciples gathered, uncertain about their future, clinging to a promise, but unsure of what it meant. Jesus had ascended to heaven after telling them to wait for the Holy Spirit, leaving them in a state of limbo, a spiritual waiting room. At the center of this vulnerable community was Mary. In those days of waiting, Mary wasn't just another disciple. She truly became the mother of the waiting church. Our mission could be to reflect that same steady, prayerful presence in the church. Just as Mary stayed faithfully present with the apostles, our ongoing journey can benefit each of us and make a lasting impact every step of the way to others as well. On this solemnity of Pentecost, the red vestments are reminiscent of the fire that descended on the disciples. We can imagine what that day might have been like when we look at the stained glass window up here and see the artist's rendition of that day. We may recognize this fire more and more in our own lives if we remain open to hearing God's plan. What an absolutely wonderful time right now to be a member of the Catholic Church in America. Last month, we witnessed the first man from Chicago in the United States of America elected by his fellow cardinals as our new pontiff. This is not something many of us thought would ever happen, at least not in our lifetime. Yet by the glory of God, here we are. When stepping onto the balcony to be introduced to the world, Pope Leo XIV used the same words as Christ when he first saw his disciples after his resurrection. Peace be with you. Immediately, our new Pope, Leo XIV, identified what the Church's focus should be. Our world today has multiple wars raging, and it seems as though the two sides, the different sides, can't even agree on how to begin peace talks. And anyone with at least a half a century of life experience might agree the world is going to hell in a handbasket. We began our conversation talking about fire, the Holy Spirit coming down on the disciples like tongues of fire. Fire, very powerful force shaping our world. Fire is also recognized as a very powerful force of destruction, such as the Great Chicago Fire. That's one of the reasons pop singer Billy Joel used fire as a metaphor for chaos, crime, and war in his 1989 song, "We Didn't Start the Fire." It is said that he got the idea for the song from a conversation he'd had with a young man. Joel had just turned 40 years old, and the young man told him that the world was in an unfixable mess. Many of us might feel the world might be in that shape now. When Joel tried to console him by saying, "I thought the same thing when I was your age," the young man said, "Yeah, but you grew up in the 50s, and everybody knows nothing happened in the 50s. Joel was taken aback by this and replied, "Wait a minute, didn't you hear of Korea, the Hungarian freedom fighters, or the Suez crisis?" Those events then became the origin of his song, "We Didn't Start the Fire." Throughout the course of the song, Joel sings a litany of headlines from 1949 to 1989. North and South Korea, Joseph Stalin, the Bay of Pigs invasion, Watergate, AIDS. And as Joel rattles off headline after headline, the chorus pounds out, "We didn't start the fire, It was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire. No, we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. It's been almost 36 years since Billy Joel wrote those words, and unfortunately, we can add to his list of headlines. It sometimes seems that our world has always been engulfed in a raging wildfire, and we don't know how to put it out. How do we fight it? One possible answer is to fight fire with fire. We see the fire of the Holy Spirit in the readings from the Acts of the Apostles. From the sky, a noise like a strong driving wind, tongues as of fire. It sounds like a wildfire from heaven. The Holy Spirit descends like fire upon the disciples gathered together. But unlike a wildfire, it does not consume them. This is a different kind of fire. Think of the burning bush on Mount Sinai, where Moses received the law. God was present in a bush that burned but was not consumed. And from that fire, God gave Moses the law. That connected the Israelites to their God. For generations, the way to be in relationship with God was to be faithful to the law. It was fitting then that this is on Pentecost that the disciples receive the fire that burns but does not consume. That burning bush now dwells within them. The law is written on their hearts. They burn with God's presence and are not consumed. We too have received this fire through baptism, confirmation, and the continued reception of Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. The Holy Spirit has come to us like a strong driving wind, in tongues as of fire. So on the one hand, we have the raging fire of violence, destruction, and death outlined by Billy Joel's song. And on the other, we have the fire of the Holy Spirit descending on the apostles. Is this how we fight the fire that Billy Joel wrote about? Do we fight fire with fire? When we hear the phrase, we likely think of using an opponent's strategy against them. But that's not the original meaning. Fighting fire with fire comes from a strategy in battling wildfires. When a wildfire begins to get out of control, firefighters deliberately set what is called a backfire in the path of the oncoming wildfire. This is not so the two fires can battle it out. Instead, as the backfire burns, it consumes the fuel so that the primary fire has none when it reaches the edge of the fire line. The Holy Spirit is like a backfire for our world, consuming the fuel of our lives, burning away our prejudice, our pride, our doubts, and our fears. When we burn with the love of God in our hearts, there's no room for fires of rage and hatred. This is what the first Christians did. It's what the saints have done throughout the ages. They set backfires of the Holy Spirit to starve the raging fires of sin. The first disciples didn't fight fire with fire by battling the Romans. They fought the fires of persecution with the fires of baptism. And that too is our call. Jesus' words to the disciples are meant for us too. As the Father has sent me, so I send you. On this solemnity of Pentecost, we remember our call to bring the Holy Spirit into the world, the fire within us that burns without consuming. It's a fire that says, turn the other cheek. Love your enemies. The fire that gave St. Maximilian Kolbe the confidence to give his life in place of a stranger. The fire that sustained St. Mother Teresa through years of discouragement and darkness. This is the fire that makes a difference in the world. It makes a difference in our personal lives, and it makes a difference in our culture. We see that fire most clearly in the burning heart of Jesus hanging on the cross. Not a political leader who came to overthrow the Romans with a fire of battle, but a servant leader who came to transform hearts with the fire of sacrificial love. It is his Spirit we celebrate today, and it is his Spirit that sets our hearts ablaze so that we can fight the fire of sin with the fire of the Holy Spirit. We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, but when we are gone, it will still burn on and on.